So whatever the things they were doing in their government, they used to written records. They used to keep written records of all the things, whether it is a decision, whether it is agreement, whether it is instructions to lower categories, anything they were doing, they used to keep in writing. This conviction produced an administration culture of memos, noting, and reports, right? Memorandum, circulars. So this, because of their writing habit, this gives the culture of memos, noting, and reports. And obviously, when they are keeping all the things in written format, so it will be a bulky. So they need to store also properly. The British also felt that all important documents and letters needed to be carefully preserved. So they set up record room attached to all administrative institutions. The village Tehsildar office, the collectorate, the commissioner's office, the provincial secretariat, and the law courts. These are the different types of government building, and each government buildings were having a record room. So related to their offices, whatever the decision, instruction, rule, agreement, investigations were happening, they used to keep in that record room. Specialized institutions like archive and museums were also established to preserve important records. Letters and memos that moved from one branch of the administration to another in early years of the 19th century can still be read in the archives. You can also study the notes and reports that district officials prepared. Means we are also getting as a kind of source. We are also getting all this information about British government from their records only. So records were very important. Here you can see in one picture the National Archives of India came up in 1920. When New Delhi was built, the National Museums and National Archives were both located close to the Viceregal Palace. This location reflects the importance this institution had in British imagination. Means when Britishers used to keep all the records, so this building was very important. Now another important topic, survey, and there are several types of survey they were doing. By the early 19th century, detailed surveys were being carried out to map the entire country. Britishers, they were educated, right? They were always using techniques, scientific criteria. The practice of surveying also became common under the colonial administration. The British believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administered. Means when they started trading and then started gradually ruling, so they were believing that if we want to control these people, this territory, then we should know it properly. For that, that's why they were doing survey. The effort was to know the topography, the soil quality, the flora, the fauna, and the local histories and the cropping pattern. All the facts seen as a necessary to know about administered the region. Means when they were conducting any kind of survey, they were knowing the topography, topmost layer of the earth, soil, what type of flora and fauna found there, what is local history about this place, what is cropping pattern, means which type of crops they are growing. Why they were keeping all the records, so they can utilize for their own purpose in future. That's why they were conducting survey. Census operations were held every 10 years. Census means population counting, demographic counting every 10 years. This prepared detailed records of the number of people in all the provincials of the India, noting information on caste, religion and occupation. There were many other kind of surveys. It is not only a demographic base, but they were doing all the types of surveys so they can understand this land properly, this land's people properly, so they can administer them effectively and properly. They used to conduct botanical surveys, geological surveys, archaeological surveys, anthropological surveys and forest surveys. Through these surveys, they come to know about the properties of these places and this criteria. So they can make their policies according to. Now, official records, right? After all these surveys and their record rooms, and they were keeping lots of records. But what official records do not tell, right? No doubt British as a government, they were keeping all the records. So they will keep record on their own point of view. They will not tell the people that what people are problems will be there, right? From this vast corpus of records we can get to know a lot, but we must remember that these are official records, right? When at present also we are telling that these are the official figure, government figure. Actually we don't know, or actually it would be like this. They tell us what the official thought they were interested in and what they wish to preserve for posterity. Posterity means their poster, their image. Means how they can preserve their image in front of people. They will write all the things, positive thing about their policies, their rules, regulation. These records do not always help us understand what other people in the country felt. Means by British officers' records here, official record means here you just understand as a British records. So by British records, it will tell us about only British rules and regulation, but it will not tell you about what Indian people felt, what lay behind their action. For that, we need to look elsewhere. When we begin to search for these other sources, we find them in plenty, though they are more difficult to get than official records. Official record we can easily get by government permission, because there are each and every government offices are having record rooms. So we can get any kind of information from these record rooms. But how people are feeling, feeling we cannot easily get. We have diaries of people, account of pilgrims and travelers, autobiographies of important personalities and popular booklet that were sold in local bazaar. So we can get feelings of people from all this type of thing. Like suppose people diary. Suppose if I am having of habit of writing diary, say if any of the British policy hurted me, then I will write about it. So as a common citizen, what are my feelings? I will write in my diary so that you come to know from that diary. Same is autobiographies. You must have heard about autobiographies. People are writing about their life in the book. So in that also they are writing about that government's policies. As the printing spread, because British government established and they started printing, press and all, then people started getting newspapers were published, issues were debated in public, leaders and reformers wrote to spread their ideas, poets and novelists wrote express their feeling, right? Means leaders, public figures, reformers, they started spreading their ideas in public speeches and in newspaper. Poets and novelists, they started writing about their feeling. But all these sources were limited to only the literate people. Those who are educated, they can read them, they can write about their feeling. But still, because at that time 90% of the Indian population were illiterate, uneducated. They were not knowing about how to read and write. So from this we will not be able to understand how history was experienced and lived by tribal people, peasants, poor people, the workers in the mines or the poor in the street. Getting to know their lives is more difficult task. Yet this can be done if you make little bit effort. When you read this book, because as I told you, this book is an introductory chapter. Dates are important, which dates are important, how British has established. So they are taking us to the British era. And let me tell you one thing, students, if you want to learn this book nicely and easily without much effort, you put yourself in British era. Consider as yourself as a Indian citizen at that time when British rule established, or you consider yourself as a British official, right? One of the person in British office. So you just focus on the event what we discuss. So you will lively, it will be in front of you lively. You imagine the situation, then you will grab it easily. No need to learn and mug up the things. You can easily grab it, but keep yourself in that situation. Right? Especially for SS subject, I can suggest you another subject is not possible. But especially story like thing if you are doing, then keep yourself in one of the character. And then you imagine that you are facing the problem, you are doing that problem. Then you will understand this and it will be lifetime teaching. No need to mug up or routing method you used to. Right? Just keep yourself in the situation. right? So through introduction they are telling us about how British has started coming to India. They came as a trader, and you all have understood this chapter 2 also. In that also I explain you, right? Gradually they started grabbing different territories through hook and crook policies. So in this way British rule established in India, colonial government established in India. Hope you got clear idea about this first chapter. There are nothing much to remember. No many dates are there. One or two dates are hardly there, and one or two liner definitions are there. So student, please keep in mind. If you are finding any point, anything, if you are not getting, you can ask anytime. You are feel free to ask, and WhatsApp group also, through phone call also I have explained, so you can ask, right? Meaning of survey, types of survey. In today's lesson you learn. Okay, let us just recall all this. We have already done, but I am just repeating. We have enough time to just repeating or revising for you. State whether true or false. James Mill divided Indian history into three periods: Hindu, Muslim, Christian. Right? Official documents help us understand what the people of country think. False. The British thought surveys were important for effective administration. True. Right. What is the problem with the periodization of Indian history that James Mill offer? Right? James Mill offer Indian history periodization on the basis of religion of the ruler, and according to him that at that time particular community would be living, but that was wrong. When he is dividing on the basis of Hindu ruler, but at that time other community were also there. When he is telling about Muslim, so at that time Hindus were not living, right? And when in third period he is dividing as a British or Christian, but at that time Hindu and Muslim both community people are living at that time in India. That was the main problem with the periodization of Indian history, that is James Mill offer. Question number 3. Why did British preserve official documents? Right? Let me tell you answer here. I just today explain. The British believed that the act of writing was important. Every instruction, plan, policy, decision, agreement, investigation had to be clearly written up. Once this was done, things could be properly studied and debated. So in future if any problem arises, then they can use this as a support base, and they can study, debate it and take decision wisely. Okay, that's why they were believing in this. Sorry, student. Yes. Question 4. How will the information students get from old newspaper be different from that found in police report? See, old newspaper will give the feeling of common people, general public. What they felt, they will find given in newspaper. But in police reports, you will always find that what they wanted to keep their image clear. What they wanted to show, that will be there in police report. So that is the main difference between newspaper report and police reports. Okay. Hope I make you clear this chapter. In this chapter you learn about which type of dates are important, which type of events are important, which date we need to keep in mind, what do you mean by colonization, what are the surveys, what different types of surveys Britishers used to conduct, what were their administrative policy. Hope I make you clear this chapter. Keep learning, student. It will helpful to you in unit test 1.